Chase Briscoe wins a thriller against Tyler Reddick at Darlington, and the playoffs got interesting starting with race 1, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Chase Briscoe started on the outside pole and was able to get the first win of the playoffs in round 1. He's going to lock himself in. We'll get to the playoff points here in just a minute. However, I think this race had a little bit of everything. There was strategy, there were wrecks, and the wrecks are the first thing that I want to talk about, but including the thrilling finish, we're going to get to that as well. But let's talk about the wrecks to start this thing off with. Before we had even completed 2 laps in this race, Josh Berry spins, takes himself out. He is obviously a playoff contender, puts himself in a deep hole to just start the playoffs and get this thing going. However, somebody he took out in that wreck was also in the playoffs, and that was the 45, and I shouldn't say took out, but somebody that was also collected in that wreck was the 45 of Tyler Reddick, and that's why I wanted to start off with the wreck, because if you fast forward to the end of this race, Tyler Reddick had marched all the way back from that early controversy, early adversity, fixed the car, and he put on a heck of a show. Him and Chase Briscoe racing very cleanly, I might add, to finish this Darlington race. If Tyler Reddick had had a couple more laps, it would have been really interesting, but Chase Briscoe is able to hold on. A hard-charging Erik Jones finishes in 3rd place. To start the playoffs off, this was probably the best possible race NASCAR could have, and NASCAR has now had 3 consecutive back-to-back races that were very good, whether it be due to tires. This one was tire fall off as well, or whatever, but this has been an excellent start to the playoffs for NASCAR. So really, what more can you say about this race? I thought it was great. But back to your winner of this race, Chase Briscoe. The way he started off this season, a lot of people were questioning why he got that number 19 ride. But now that he has had some time with the 19 team, they're starting to build a rapport, and you're starting to see Chase Briscoe get better and better each and every single race. And now when the lights shine the brightest, the playoffs are here. Chase Briscoe is starting to put it together at the right time. He's had a ton of poles. That car has a ton of raw speed, and it looks like now that they are starting to figure things out over there. But he wasn't the only one that had a good race, and he wasn't the only one that was building. In fact, it was a really good race for Toyota, so let's take a look at the top 10 who had a good race. So Chase Briscoe, your winner, already mentioned him. Tyler Reddick, already talked about him coming back from that early lap 1 wreck as well. But here in 3rd place, Erik Jones, and then his teammate in 4th place, John Hunter Nemecheck. Let's talk about legacy here real quick. Last season, Legacy Motorsport was racing back there basically with Rick Ware racing every single race. No shots against any of those teams, but those were not high-performing teams last year. This year, Rick Ware Racing, still not a high-performing team, but Legacy has really put it together, especially the second half of the season, and Legacy is light years ahead of where it was last season. The overall strategy of Jimmy Johnson getting their own notes for Legacy, putting their own people in place, and building that organization is finally starting to show fruit. A lot of people had criticized them for not going the 2311 route and getting a ton of support from Joe Gibbs Racing. But now that they've got their own notes, they've got their own setups, you're starting to see a separation from them and some of the other Toyota teams. In fact, they were just as fast as some of the other Toyota teams, the bigger Joe Gibbs Toyota Racing team. So shout out to them. And in fact, your first 4 for Darlington here were all Toyotas. So shout out to Toyota there. And of course, we have to mention the 5th place driver here of A.J. Allmendinger. With all of the noise surrounding Kaulig, that could have been a distraction, but A.J. Allmendinger puts it together here and has arguably his best race of the season. I think that's the best the 16 car has looked all year. They said they want to finish off the rest of the season strong, even though they didn't make the playoffs. They want to show that this team has made improvement, and once again, another team from last year that struggled greatly has, at least on raw speed, they have had a lot of better showings this year. They don't necessarily have all the results this year that they would like to show for that, but but they have this year, him and Ty Dillon have had better raw speed overall than what they had last year. Of course, they got some better finishes. They were maxing out the equipment last year with some better finishes, but they have had better speed this year, so a positive sign all the way around for Kaulig. And of course, their attachment to Dodge, or Ram in the truck series, we should say, is of note as well. Possibly some more money flowing into that organization, and of course, getting the former head of Trackhouse who ran the operations day-to-day over there, and Ty Norris, starting to pay dividends for Kaulig. 6 through 10 here, going to be Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar, and Chris Buescher. So 2 of the 2311 cars that are in the playoffs, both in the top 6 there. Good start for 2311. Good run for Kyle Busch. Needed a good run. He is another driver looking to finish off the playoffs strong. His teammate in the playoffs didn't have a great run, but Kyle Busch did here, of course, wanting to get that win before the end of the season. And then the man right below him in 9th place. Carson Hocevar hit everything on the track, from the wall to other cars, just about everything but the pace car, if you want to go Days of Thunder with it, right? And then at the end of this race, and at one point said the car was undrivable in this race, but then to stay focused, stay in the game, and get the car into a top 10 finishing position for Spire, who, once again, Spire just needs to finish more races, but when they do finish races, they typically tend to finish well because they have had better raw speed this season as well. Another team that continues to build, sort of a trend here, teams continuing to build from not being great teams, but they're getting better speed now. But yeah, great run for Carson Hocevar. Stayed in the game and got a good finish, despite he was they called him, I think, Hurricane Hocevar in there was what Lee Diffie called him. That was probably a great description of his early race, but at the end of the race he settled down, got in the groove, and did get a top 10 finish here. And then 11 through 15, Ross Chastain, good run for him. Austin Cindric, great run for him. A lot of people had him being cut in the first round, but this run is definitely going to help him. We'll touch on those points here in just a second here. Zane Smith, then you got Noah Gragson and Brad Keselowski in 15th place. So there you go. That is your top 15. That's who had a good race. Now let's talk about who had a bad race and the points fall out afterwards. And if you look from 29th on back, you see Christopher Bell there, who had a very fast car, got some splitter damage with the aforementioned Carson Hocevar in the pits. So that is where that splitter damage came from. I mentioned Carson Hocevar earlier, one of his many incidents on the evening before he got, of course, his top 10 there. Then you got Alex Bowman and Shane Van Gisbergen, 2 playoff drivers, 31st and 32nd. SVG, their pit strategy just didn't work out for them. They were on an aggressive pit strategy, and it was looking good for a while, but then the caution fell for them at the wrong time. Alex Bowman came from 2 laps down, but once again, when it all cycled out, he ends up in 31st. So Alex Bowman, up and down day for him. Horrific pit stop at one point. And then, of course, Josh Berry with that lap 1 wreck. They fixed the car. They got it back out there. He went for the fastest lap, or attempted to get the fastest lap to try to get 1 point from the evening. But even getting that 1 point for the evening, I can't even remember if he got it or not. But last time I looked, he did have it. But even if he got that 1 point, just an absolutely disappointing day, especially qualifying that high. And Austin Dillon not shown in there, but Austin Dillon qualified, I think, 9th or 10th, and was not able to have the same type of speed that his teammate Kyle Busch had today. I just never could find the balance for the car of the number 3, and so all of those guys having bad days at a critical moment here in the playoffs. Speaking of which, let's take a look at how the playoffs stack up right now. And of course, as it stands right now, Chase Briscoe is locked in. Denny Hamlin next on the list at plus 43, plus 38 for Kyle Larson, plus 35 for Tyler Reddick. Without something catastrophic happening, those guys are pretty well secured for the next 2 races, I would say. Plus 25 apiece for Bubba Wallace, who had a good run. William Byron, who started off really well, your regular season champion, but he is now only plus 25. So speaking of which, let's talk about those Hendrick cars before I continue this list here. Hendrick started this race off, but once again, much like Austin Dillon, couldn't keep up with the racetrack. Kyle Larson was in the top 10 most of the day, but after that last pit stop, all of the Hendrick cars dropped like rocks in the back of the field. Not a single Hendrick car in the top 10. When is the last time you could say that? So they're going to have to get it together here for the rest of the playoff run. All right, back to the points here. Ryan Blaney at plus 22, Ross Chastain plus 21, Austin Cindric plus 12, Christopher Bell plus 11, and here right at the cut line, it gets super interesting. All these guys plus 12, plus 9 for Chase Elliott, plus 3 for SVG, despite the horrible weekend, minus 3 for Joey Logano, the reigning defending champion, minus 8 for Austin Dillon, minus 19 apiece for Alex Bowman and Josh Berry. So nobody is super far out of it just yet. Even with those horrible runs, they're only minus 19. So as long as everybody has a clean race from here on out, they can get it going. But these bad races, they will stack up fast in these 3-round bursts that are the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to keep track of. But after race 1, I don't think there's much more you could have asked for from this one. So yeah, I think NASCAR is off to a good start with the playoffs. Yeah, and that's all I got for you on this one. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Hope the rest of your Monday is good, and till the next one. Peace.